Good afternoon, everyone. I will call this meeting of the Executive Committee to order. We are all present. This meeting was posted by the clerk's office appropriately, as usual. We'll rise for a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Interesting thing, I was reading through our old resolutions book, and back in the 90s, we actually made a resolution to start every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if they didn't do that before then, but interesting. The packet included the minutes from May 21st. Are there any corrections? There being none, we'll leave them as recorded. Our first resolution is 2025 resolution for shared GIS services to the town of Erin as part of sharing sales taxes. Motion and a second, please. Supervisor Shadron, Supervisor Schwab. Any discussion? Actually, this afternoon, I asked Eric Damcott, if we were getting close to where we are limited on people, and so far so good. So we don't have concerns on personnel on this. So
yeah, both of the ones that you have today, both Erin and Barton, for right now they're asking us just to maintain their zoning map. It's really minimal work, so we're happy to do it for them. It's a benefit to the county to have that data more accessible to our staff as well. So for what they're asking for, no, we can absolutely accommodate with the staff we have. If the requests start to become significantly more than just zoning, I mean that's a conversation to have when it happens. It's a good problem to have actually, because it means they're really taking advantage of the resources. But for right now, yeah, we're absolutely able to handle it with the staff that we have.
And by us doing that, does that help with all that data being accessible through our website?
It does, yeah. So any of the municipalities that we do their general zoning for, we add that as a layer on the county's interactive map. So anybody in the, once this is done, somebody in the town of Barton or the town of Erin, they'll go to our map and they'll be able to view the shoreline zoning map that the county enforces and the local zoning data that the town would enforce all on the same picture, and hopefully that makes it a lot easier for them to understand the approvals and what they would need in order to make the improvements on their parcels.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? There being none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We'll go right to the next resolution for GIS to the town of Barton. Motion and a second, Pete. Supervisor Schulteis, Supervisor Kelling. Any discussion? Then all in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next generation housing request has been withdrawn for now. Any comments on that?
Unless you have any questions.
Are they just going to come back next month, probably, or?
No, they've decided just to withdraw it permanently for these two homes. It was two homes, a duplex side by side for $40,000, and they just decided not to do the next gen housing for that.
Okay, thank you. That being the case, we'll move on to item D, the Brownfields County Assessment Fund request by the City of Hartford for Centennial Park. Motion and a second, please. Motion. Supervisor Kelling, Supervisor Shadron. Okay. Go ahead, Adam.
All right. So we have a funding request for the City of Hartford, their Centennial Park site. They're requesting $12,030 from the Brownfield Assessment Fund, and this is to complete supplemental assessment work and update their environmental reports with the results. So basically, the Wisconsin DNR came back and said, as a condition for approving their environmental reports, we're going to require another round of groundwater samples. They tend to like two in order to confirm any results. And basically, this is going to wrap up the assessment work for that site. So in the end, the city of Hartford will have to pay back $2,406 for their 20% match to this fund. So, and then after that, they should be ready to move towards case closure. And then, in addition, we've added a portion to this report. So far, this site has utilized $47,000 of the Brownfield Assessment Fund. So, with that, do you have any questions? I can help answer them.
Supervisor Shadron.
One little one.
Yep.
Assuming they find something bad, though, it would then continue, right?
It would, if the groundwater samples came back and there was like more, or then the DNR would probably want additional sampling or maybe additional remediation work. But then we would our environmental consultant, Stantec, basically is not anticipating that. It could happen, but at that time, we'll come back to the executive committee and, if we have another request, we'll have another request.
Hopefully it doesn't happen. Right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Thank you.
My recollection from the site redevelopment committee is that site had a considerable plume that was from a factory that had been adjacent some years prior, and there was a lot of work done to remediate that.
Right. A lot of the cap and the remediation work has already gone into place. This is just kind of to tie a bow on the environmental report, basically. So, yep.
Okay.
Supervisor Kelly.
That was my question. Is this part of the, was it the Kissel Motor Car Company? Is that where that is? I'm not familiar with where
So for Centennial Park, the main contamination that I know, it was fill. It was industrial fill. I'm not sure where the source was from, but it was from a nearby industrial site. I don't recall exactly.
It was further west. Kissel was further down below the mill pond, so I don't think it's the same. But I'm not Stantec.
Yeah.
So, all in favor of passing that money along, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, our next item is the Brownfields assessment request by St. Gabriel's for a Phase 2 assessment.
Yep.
Motion and a second,
Oh,
please.
sorry.
Supervisor Schwab, Supervisor Schulteis.
Okay. So this is one of our current brownfield sites, the old St. Gabriel Church and School. They are requesting $32,400 for a Phase 2 environmental assessment. And previously, we had funded a Phase 1. There was there was recognized environmental concerns, underground storage tanks that might be on the site. So this Phase 2 would go about locating those storage tanks, identifying if there was any leaks or environmental contamination from these storage tanks, and then any other potential environmental wrecks. Specifically, it's a geophysical survey, soil and water samples, and we put in a second round of groundwater samples because we've seen with the DNR, as the case with the Centennial Park, that they like a second round of groundwater samples, so we don't want to come back and re-ask and do more paperwork. So we have that as a contingent if the DNR have that already attached to this funding request. Groundwater monitoring wells, there's also drum disposal and well abandonment, so once all this work is done, and then results in project management. In the end, it will be $6,480 will be the 20% match that St. Gabriel will provide. And in total, this project site has utilized about 44,000, or just above 44,000 of the brownfield Assessment Fund. So, is there any
But
questions?
at present, it's truly a blighted site. It's been
It's-
vacant for a long time.
And they've
so-
been trying to sell it for about 6 years with, interested parties, but then, no real takers so far. So,
Did you have a question
I
first?
did. Thank you. Are the DNR requirements, have they been fairly consistent over the years, or have they become more stringent in recent years?
I guess, I don't know if I can speak to like other sites, but they have been in some cases, we've had some issues, or they've been, like emerging contaminants are always something that's new. PFAS is an emerging contaminant that they're trying to regulate more. Regal Place is an example where, we had some significant additional funding requests, as you saw, because of PFAS. So whether they're more stringent on like the phase 2 results and things like that, I wouldn't say they're more stringent. It's just these extra round of groundwater sampling is maybe where they're usually or typically requiring a second round. So, yeah.
And when they require a second round, is there a time period in between, or after a certain amount of rain, or how is it determined when the next round will happen?
Right. There is, from my knowledge, there isn't like a time period. And usually by the time they reviewed it, there's been enough time to pass that there's probably been a flux in groundwater that they would expect to change. So the second round would occur several months after the first round. And usually, and even some cases, it's 6 or, a year past. So they don't have any from my knowledge, they don't have anything specifically for like a time frame, but I could, if you want a specific answer, I could get that too from the DNR.
That's not necessary.
Okay.
I was just
Yep.
just curious on if there was a set reason or methodology.
Yeah, I think the methodology is usually, they would expect leaking, from the ground or the soil, and then they want to see if, during different times of the year or at different times there might be a bigger release into the groundwater, and that would be the second round. Yeah.
Thank you.
Supervisor Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This site was a church?
A church and a school. So, and I think a convent and a residence for the priest. And there's one other building on the site. I do not recall what it was for, but 5 in total. Yep.
What was the nature of these? They're storage tanks. I mean, what was?
Fuel oil. So, just heating oil. So,
Fuel oil tanks that were
yep.
buried on site?
Yep.
Okay, and in the building. And was there anything else like asbestos or anything like that?
We did do a hazardous building material survey, and there was asbestos-containing material. I don't recall the specifics of the results, but if you would like that, I could forward that information. Yeah.
Just, again, like Supervisor Schwab, curious as to how all this kind of starts to get a feel of, when we do these brownfield sites, a lot of times we don't really know where or what the nature of the contamination was.
Right.
And we just want to kind of wrap our heads around, what we're dealing with.
Right. Often, in my experience, brownfield sites are, it's kind of like walking up to a closed door. You do the phase 2 environmental site assessment, you open up the door, you find out what the results are, and here are your results of what the contamination is on the site. I mean, the phase 1 will give a kind of a general idea, but then the phase 2 will do the actual environmental testing to confirm the phase 1. And usually it's pretty verbatim, but sometimes there's some surprises, good and bad. Sometimes there isn't any contamination at all. Other times there's more. So, yeah.
Is there a possibility of remediation on this site?
I wouldn't know that until the phase 2 results would come in. It's if the contamination is low enough, they may just say, there isn't any action required for this site. You could just leave it in place, or maybe it's just specific. There's numerous ways that it could be remediated, but mostly, it could just be capped, or it could be removed or the contaminated soil could be removed from the site and then capped. But we wouldn't know that until we really seen the results and thought about, or Stantec has thought about what remediation needs to take place. So, yep.
And those are the types of things, when you get into these committees and you do these things, a little bit of background or kind of a gist of it, because, we don't really know too much about this kind of thing.
Right.
But just to get a rough idea of the kinds of things that we're trying to do here, get a basic education in brownfield sites is really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Any further questions or discussion? All in favor of approving that, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we're going to take up the horse arena issue. I apologize, I was going to take it sooner, but I knew these first things would go fast. So, Scott, are you presenting this?
Yes.
Motion and a second first. Supervisor Schwab, Supervisor Kelling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet was a detailed pre-report on the history of the horse arena area at Fair Park. The attached exhibit to it also showed the near the origins of Fair Park back in 2000 and then the current situation in 2024. I apologize. I did mean to include a stakeholder letter from one of the horse enthusiasts who actually uses the arenas, but I apologize I did not make it into the packet. We'll get that to you following the meeting, but I can trust you that she is in favor of what is proposed in the proposal here that you saw today. What we're looking at doing is making some additional modifications. We did some modifications last year due to pooling and ponding in the western arena, adding some more sand, doing some additional tiling. It turned out when we disturbed the area above the existing tiling, it did free up about anywhere from 7 to about 8 inches of sand. And you can imagine if you've seen the draft horse carts, they don't like to pull in 7 to 8 inches of sand, understandably. Even the pleasure horses that are going around the ring, trotting or running, don't appreciate going from a spot of 8 inches of sand on the sides to 4 inches on the ends of the arena and back and forth and kind of mixturing. So we finished that project just before fair. It didn't rain before fair too much, and so it didn't really get a chance to consolidate and settle down, knowing that it had about 12 years of time to settle down from the last time we actually did some improvements out there. So by fluffing that up and getting rid of the water, created an additional problem that's out there. We've had several meetings out there, and I want to thank Fair Park staff as well as the horse enthusiasts who are out there from 4-H, as well as those that own draft horse barns, and taking the time to go out there and actually look at it, take some test holes, talk to experts in the field, and actually look and see what's needed. As you can see, we've been dealing with the horse arenas out there for almost its inception of Fair Park. And to get to this place, I can say as someone who's been dealing with this personally now since 2001, I think we're in a fantastic spot as far as all the players are involved in. It's really great to see them all come to the table, offer up solutions, and get some buy-in too, if you saw from the price in too, where it's not just coming to the county looking for to do all the work, but actually they went out and got the quote. They've come up with a portion of the funding, about a quarter of it, plus or minus, going out there to get donations for the materials. So there's definitely buy-in from the people on the horse club and horse enthusiast side. So it's really great to see. And I think what this does is it finalizes all 3 arenas. The warm-up ring, if you haven't been in there, between the 2 barns, rarely gets used. Because of the condition that's in there and so bad, and even the eastern ring, the lower ring, in its condition that you'll see occasional horse go down there just to warm up, but that's about it. So since we had bought the sand last year to throw some sand into the eastern arena, makes a lot of sense. Not using the warm-up ring as a waste disposal site and actually getting it to where it should have been put over 20 years ago, I think makes a lot of sense. So I think with utilizing the funds, and again, we spent about $16,000 on it last year. We'll be looking at about $15,000 this year. You can see before that we last spent funds back in 2012, and then obviously the major reconstructions in 2003. That hopefully this will solve that problem for many years to come. And that sand we did buy, last year we were able to stockpile it because when you mix the sand with the barn lime down below, right, eventually it'll harden up a little bit, and so they're having extra sand on site. They can then bring that back in for some top dressing, maybe 2 to 3 years from now, they figured. So having extra sand on site. So the money that was spent will not go to waste overall. So I think what you have in front of you is a great plan, a workable plan that a lot of staff, as well as the players that I mentioned, including Fair Park staff, put a lot of time in over a short period of time to hopefully get this completed before this fair and really make it a wonderful event for everybody, that we don't have to worry about horses getting hurt or people pulling out and all that stuff later on. So happy to answer any questions that you may have on this particular subject.
Supervisor Kelly.
Not really much of a question, but more of a statement. Ms. Ludwig called me last week and we talked about this a little bit, and outstanding work here, Scott.
Thank you.
You know, first of all, I love the draft horses, and you know, if there were a problem where they wouldn't be able to show, I think that would be a massive hit to our fair and what we're really about, which is the agricultural portion, the parade and the polling and stuff like that. I mean, it's I think really central to the show that we put on, that is the fair. But you know, looking at the collaboration from this document between all the stakeholders and the county jumping in, you know, and saying, yeah, we can pitch in. We've got the trucks, we've got the equipment. I think it's just outstanding work, and very short time period to do it too. I mean, with the fair is like a month away, you know.
Yes.
So I'm really thankful to you, to your staff, to the fair people and the horse show people for all getting together. This type of collaboration should be pointed out. So outstanding job. Thank you very much.
Supervisor Schulteis.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'm just curious about the stakeholders, and were they some of the same individuals that met last year as this year? So there's that
Yes.
continuity of.
100%, yes. We've been trying to, I talked to one of the people at the stakeholder letter, this Jody, during fair last year, while she was out in the ring with the horses. So yes, it's been a little longer that we've known about it and tried to work things, but really last several weeks where things have been moving in a really positive direction.
It looks like it, so thank you.
I'm also going to say thank you. You wear a lot of hats around here, and now you're a horse arena expert too. But kudos to you, and there's a spirit of cooperation with the people at Fair Park that there wasn't before.
Yes.
And it's good. Supervisor Schwab.
Thank you, Chairman Schleif. Yeah, just noticing that so often we see people coming to government at all levels and say, well, gimme, 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 gimme. And it's really refreshing that the people that are going to benefit from this the most were actually willing to invest as well. So as you see them, let them know that it was much appreciated, and thanks to you and Fair Park Supervisor as well for all the work that's gone into there. Thank you.
No, I'm good.
That being said, Aaron has assured us we can find money in the strategic priorities.
Yes, we would just need a vote of approval for that. So the strategic priority balance is 278,000. So we've got it there.
That being said, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you again for your work. Our last item is the matter of the vacancy on the county board. So I'm open for suggestions. I believe last time, we've done this twice in the last 5 years, I think. And each time the clerk's office put out a notice asking for people to come forward, and then we interview them at the county board level and pick one. Any suggestions to revise that? Supervisor Schulteis.
Thank you. No recommendations at this point to revise it. I'd be curious what other people think or feel on the committee, having been a recipient of that process. 5 years ago, just exactly at this time, Rock resigned in June, and in August I came with it wasn't an interview per se, we gave a presentation, basically. I think it was 3 to 5 minutes. And then the whole board voted. I don't recall if it was paper ballot or electronic too, but, okay.
I think it'll be a closed ballot, yes.
Yeah, so, the people who were interested presented themselves with their resume or their CVs, and so I think that's pretty thorough. The whole board gets an opportunity to see the individuals, the candidates, and I thought it was a good process.
Okay. I did talk to the clerk about this as well. She's willing to do what she did before. We could do a special election, but there are no other elections this year until next April, so we'd be bearing extra cost for that, which I don't think we want to do. So.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think it's really necessarily. I already know that there is definite interest in the community, and there are candidates, good, decent people who are willing to take the position and submit. And I've seen the process work fantastically with you, certainly. And this is like, I think, the third time I've seen it, or we've seen it in our. So I think if it isn't broke, let's not fix it. And I think we bring forth the applications and we review them and send people forth to the county board and have a vote.
Ms. Reichert, do you have anything to add?
Nope. We are working on revising what we have done in the past as far as the publication in the newspaper. So we'll get that sent to the media tomorrow, and then we'll also send out a press release and share that on social media as well.
Mr. Stern?
Would it be the intent of this committee then to have those applications submitted at a date certain so that this committee could convene prior to the July 9th county board to vet those candidates, and then, assuming that's the case, then the county board would take its vote at the meeting thereafter?
Yes, sir. Very good. So, do we need to vote on that?
I think a consensus is fine, sure.
Are we all agreed? Very well. That concludes our business for this evening. Our next meeting will be July 16th, 2025. And I will not be here. This meeting will be run by Mr. Schwab. I'm taking vacation. This meeting's adjourned.